This program is rated SPG. It contains scenes with themes, language, violence, sex, horror, or drugs, which may not be suitable for children. Strong parental guidance is advised.
And we're back again to another episode of ElSingko Chit Chat. My name is Iris and I'm with Max and Krish, and welcome to episode 2 of ElSingko Chit Chat. In today's episode, we will be discussing the relevant topic of the condition of indigenous communities in the 21st century. Are you ready to share our insights on today's topic?
Yes, Mom. I'm very well interested and driven to share my insights with you guys. So what are you waiting for? Let's now go on and dwell into the current condition of the IPs in the contemporary world.
Trivia fact. Did you guys know that over 300 million indigenous people are living on the globe today?
Whoa, that seems a lot, Momshi. No wonder how their society still makes significance in today's generation.
Yes, Krish. In fact, indigenous people have contributed significantly to civilization in several ways. One of which is their rich cultural legacy. Indigenous cultures are frequently abundant in tradition, art, music, and storytelling, and have contributed substantially to the global cultural variety. Since they have historically relied on the islands and its resources for their subsistence, indigenous people have also played a significant part in preserving the environment.
However, Momshi Irish, it is really devastating to know that despite the fact that indigenous communities had brought positive influence to our economic development, nonetheless, indigenous communities remain among the impoverished and most disadvantaged individuals. They continuously face many challenges and obstacles in their daily lives, leading them to frequently fight in order to retain their traditional way of life, which includes issues related to their rights and sovereignty. Access to education and healthcare and protection of their land, such as discrimination, loss of land and resources, and criminalization of IP. These examples can prove how marginalized the indigenous communities are. Nevertheless, we propose possible solutions to eradicate the issues and improve the condition of the indigenous community.
To be exact, guys, do you know that indigenous people are experiencing discrimination on a daily basis? They are actually treated differently in several ways, like how they are treated differently in medical care. The hospitals have different facilities for them because of their smells. And in malls, some malls won't let them in because they said indigenous people look dirty and don't have money.
Oh, besides that, Mamshi, aside from discrimination, indigenous people are also at odds with their homeland. So individuals are experiencing a struggle to claim their rights to territories, land, and resources that remain limited and obscure due to the land reformation. So the indigenous people were relocated to other regions and lost their ancestral lands. Their conventional ways of life and practices were destroyed. They become marginalized in the society as the government officials and some influential individuals put pressure on them due to their interest in their land. I also heard from the news that the indigenous people in Golacov village in Mankayan at Benguet province are fighting for their rights to their homeland.
Yes, I remember that. Their representative in the village, Mr. Marlo Pable, was being interviewed and stated that they will start alert as they continue to establish ownership over the land. It's devastating to hear that our compatriots experience those suffering while us living in comfort. Right, Momshi?
You're right, Max. And how about you, Krish? What can you say about this? Do you have anything to share with us?
Actually, that's really disappointing and dreadful to know. But since we were talking about the conditions of indigenous people in the 21st century, let me share with you guys that aside from red tagging, discrimination, and land disputes, IPs also experience frightful criminalization because even now, indigenous human rights advocates are still being criminalized. Actually, from 2016 to August 2019, trumped-up charges caused the arrest and detention of at least 196 indigenous people, 36 of whom remain unjustly imprisoned. These precarious conditions for indigenous people's human rights defenders have intensified not just in the Philippines but all over the world.
Numbers are actually manifesting and experiencing that there are actually indigenous people who are horrendously being criminalized. With that information, Moms, I'm actually curious, is there any group or particular individual you can share who might have experienced discriminalization?
That's a beautiful question. Actually, there are a lot of indigenous people that are being criminalized, but with a limited time, I'm just going to share a few. So we have an unprecedented levels of human rights breaches have been committed. The military unlawfully detained 4 members of the Aita indigenous people in the province of Zambales and tortured them, including force feeding them fecal matter. They were accused of crimes, including illegally possessing weapons, ammo, and explosives. Aside from that, we also have Gloria Tumalon, which is a Manubo indigenous activist leader and a mining opponent. She was illegally arrested on the island of Mindanao and is one of the 468 people accused of being a member of New People's Army.
Oh, you said you're just going to name us few, but for me, it's like 100 people already.
Indeed, the precarious conditions for Indigenous peoples' human rights defenders all over the world have intensified. These circumstances present opportunities for authoritarian leaders to consolidate their own power and to silence critics or troublemakers or anyone seen as opposing their rule, including Indigenous peoples' human rights defenders.
I can say that it is really sad that some people are very cruel to them when all they are doing is embracing what they truly are right from the start. I believe that they should have the freedom to do so.
To be honest, there is no full understanding here without properly considering the problems and struggles of Indigenous communities. Rather than systemic, it would just put us in tidied up chaos brought about by not treating each ethnic group according to their own cultural norms, but merely standardizing rules that are being enforced by the government on these people because of the lack of understanding on how to deal with them.
Yes, I agree. They are, after almost untouched by contemporary culture, making them somewhat living artifacts of the nation's history. Thus, there are no other ways to interact with them aside from engaging with them historically.
Yeah, I actually think that Indigenous people only wants to be treated as equal and engage in a partnership in areas of mutual interest.
Yes, in fact, they managed their own affairs just fine until the colonists arrived and said they were doing it all wrong, which caused rallies, then red tagging. Obviously, the government's red tagging is designed to control the whole population and is a product of hate or envy when the government ineptitude was highlighted.
I know, right? Maybe we can all agree that they do no harm to us. Right, guys? So, why should we engage with people who disrupt their way of living? It honestly makes no sense.
While those facts are currently tremendously fulfilling our brains, I could say that right now I'm excited to take part in some of their practices and build relationships with these individuals in order to completely understand them and appreciate the beauty of their culture.
Me too, moms. I believe that witnessing this, their way of life would significantly alter one's viewpoint. Only then we can completely get where their enthusiasm comes from and why they continue to fight for their rights even when they are at the odds while the higher authorities, including the government.
No wonder our listeners benefited from another great conversation with you, Mamshis. Our episode today has been really informative for each and everyone. I hope that what we discussed today truly enlightens our audiences.
I'm sure they are, Krish. So, what are we waiting for? Let us now call this a day and say our goodbyes to our viewers and listeners. Don't forget, guys, to leave a comment below and if there are things you want to clarify about our episode today. We will gladly accommodate all the concerns that you may have.
So once again, my name is Mac, and I'm with Irish and Krish, and we thank you for listening on today's episode of ElSingko Chit Chats about the conditions of Indigenous community in the 21st century. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.